So now we're going to do a step-by-step build of this circuit because people seem to like those videos better. So we have a Hex Schmidt-Schwinger inverter integrated circuit right here, the 74HC14. And before we wire things up, we should have the power supply off, and we could remove the alligator clips if we wanted to, but as long as the power supply off, we're good. Especially with these integrated circuits, you don't want to be applying voltages to them just haphazardly. So make sure you turn the power off. But in any case, we have to wire up the power pins for the integrated circuit. So I got an orange jumper right there. Fits really nicely to the positive supply right there. And then the gray jumper right there. So that goes to ground. 0 volts there, the more negative side of the power supply. And this integrated circuit is just meant for a single supply where you got a positive and a negative, where negative is ground, I should say. There's no negative voltage in relationship to ground. So we got the power pins on there. Now I got all these other yellow jumpers. They are mainly so that we can tie the inputs to a supply voltage. So we'll take that. We're not going to use any of the 3 inverters over there, NOT gates right there. So A is the input, Y is the output. It's the input you want to tie to a supply voltage, and you want that for a couple reasons. The inputs don't let current in or out, so it's very easy for them to build up a static charge where the voltage could cause damage, either from you touching it or just even from stray voltages in the air that they'll pick up a charge. So it's important. You can give it either a supply voltage right there. It'll just make sure that it's either 0 or 5 volts. No problem. It will lock the output in place. So the output is right below the input for each one of these. So we got 1, 2, and 3 for the inputs, and their outputs are right below them. And then we'll grab this jumper. And then we're not going to use the middle NOT gate, the number 5. So that is the input there, and the power is off, so I won't damage anything, but I still want to be really careful for when I do apply the power that I'm not in the wrong pin again. So yeah, that's the output for 6, or the input for 6, output below it, and then the input for 5. So we're good to go. Now let's do the load. Why not? It's up higher. Get that out of the way. So we're going to, this is going to be the number 6 NOT gate right there, and a digital inverter, whatever you want to call it. And so we have the inputs not connected to anything right now. We are going to go right below it to the output, and then yeah, I think the center hole would be best right there. And now we're going to wire up the LEDs. So 1000 ohm resistor to protect the blue LED because it just doesn't need much current to be very bright, mostly. And then the red LED, we need a lot more current for it to be brighter. And also a lot of integrated circuits connect to ground when their output is low much better than they connect to the positive supply when the output's high. Something to also be aware of. Now we got to make sure we put the LEDs in the right direction. So the long lead is the anode, that's up here, that needs to be more positive. Short lead, the cathode, needs to be more negative when it lights up right there. And so I'm going to set that right next to the 1000 ohm resistor there. And then same thing with the red LED, needs to light up when the output is high. It's close to 5 volts as possible. Short lead, the cathode, if you haven't cut it. And if you have cut it, there's also a shaved edge with these LEDs, but not LEDs. All LEDs have that. And then there's also ways to test it if you need to. Now, that's really it for everything but our signal in that jumper right there. So we're going to use a 10,000 ohm trim pot just so you can see, it's down there, just so you can see the voltage change. And then I got a couple of jumpers that I made. That one's way too short, so I just made a longer one in a previous video. So I like putting these notches where the jumpers are into the board, right there. And I had to pop this off and rotate it 180 degrees. It was pointing to the right before, which I think was a manufacturing mistake, but no big deal. All the ones in my kit are like that. So I don't know if they did that on purpose or if it was a mistake, but oh well. Just be aware of that. You can pull these off. I just used a pair of pliers. I just gripped it with pliers like this and was able just to slide it off. It wasn't too hard. I don't think I could do it with just my fingers though. So I am going to not put this there. I'm going to put it over one spot right there. So you can see that I'll leave this where we can kind of see it off to the side right there. We are going to the output of our number 4 right there, and then we're going up to the input of number 6. So that is A right there, right below the positive supply. So you can see that right below the positive supply, and then we got the lowest pin right there. And the reason why I want it over one spot, and by the way, these clips run sideways right there. The opening runs sideways, so you don't really want to wiggle stuff up and down so much. Wiggle it like left and right, they'll slide in a little bit better right there. So there we got that. And then so this longer jumper, it's a little too long for what we got here, but I can also kind of make it a little bit longer if I need to bridge a little bit longer gap, and then it would be like the perfect length. So it's okay right there. It's a little awkward for how long it is for this circuit, but still not too bad. So we're going to the input A of number 4 right there. And again, so this is the one I just recently cut, so they're a little more awkward to insert compared to other wires that I've inserted in the board more. So I'm going to make sure I wiggle it again. Now we should have a functioning circuit right here. So we'll zoom back, and we can look at the power supply when I turn on the power. So we want to make sure that says 5 volts, maximum of 20 milliamps of current in case I miswired something and a lot more current wants to flow than what we need. I limit it to 20 milliamps. That will help prevent damage to something. So yeah, so it looks like we have a high enough voltage to set the output high. Now we'll go down a little bit and the output's low. So we were in the hysteresis range right there. We'll go up, and then now the output's high. So yeah, we got a working circuit right there. Now whenever you work with these integrated circuits, make sure you look at the data sheet. So the data sheet, it includes basically the pin layout, and a lot of them are drawn kind of like this. I used a high-speed CMOS. They come in different versions, the integrated circuits right there, but mostly the output capabilities are different depending on the type right there. So high-speed CMOS though is the main one used these days. There's also low-power Schottky that were used before, and you can swap these out for the low-power Schottky like most of the time, but not necessarily vice versa. Be aware of that. These are more capable. So in any case, 74HC14, 7400 series integrated circuit, as I said before, high-speed CMOS, and 14 is the circuitry that we got there, the logic gates. So we have a couple NOT gates right here, which we can wire in series to make a buffer, as you can see right there. You'll also see the voltages you can work with. So in an earlier video, I was pretty sure 6 volts is where we should limit our voltage, because I did raise the voltage to 6 volts, and I should have actually looked beforehand. I was going by memory because sometimes these integrated circuits, they can handle more voltage than you would expect, and so on. And then other times you got to stay really close to 5 volts. Maybe it's like 4.5 to 6 volts or something, you know, you never know. But this can go down to 2 volts. And then the output current. So we're lighting an LED right now. The most current we need to provide is 11 milliamps of current right there. Even with this 11 milliamps of current though, we have 6 NOT gates right there. If each NOT gate wanted 11 milliamps of current, that would be too much. So we have 25 milliamps of current for each output, but there's a limit of 50 milliamps total right there. So we won't want to light red LEDs with all of them, but if all we had to light was blue LEDs for 2 milliamps each, we could. That's going to be about 12 milliamps of current, much less than the 50 milliamp total right there. So make sure you pay close attention to that. And then, of course, they'll show the truth table as well. So these are important to get used to reading right there. So whatever we have for an input, the output will be the opposite. and same with if it's low right there. So low is 0 volts in this circuit, and high is as close to 5 volts as possible in this circuit. Actually, with the trim pot right there, you can see, this will be, somewhere, yeah, I think it's somewhere around 2 volts is where the hysteresis begins. So we got to go up to, I believe, 3 volts before we get a high enough input to set the output high. Then we got to go down to about 2 volts. When I measured this before, it's not exact voltage, but it's kind of close. Right there, you can see there. So we got about a volt middle ground where we got the hysteresis, but when it's closer to the positive supply, that's a high input, high output right there. And when it's closer to the lower supply voltage right there, closer to 0 volts, we got a low output right there. Output gets as close. It jumps right from as high as it can go to as low as it can go, but the load, especially the red LED in this case, throws it off a little bit. So in any case, I talked quite a bit more on this video about this circuit than I normally do, but people seem to like these step-by-step builds, and so I'm going to cover extra material. I'll try to be quicker with the other ones where I'm just showing something more specific.